Hello and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we are jumping to a beer from Copper Kettle Brewing Company. We've reviewed quite a few of their beers over the years, predominantly big imperial stouts. And today we've got another big imperial, but it is not a stout. This is actually an imperial cherry sour. This beer is called Number 10, and it was brewed to commemorate their 10-year anniversary. They were founded in 2011. 2021 is their 10 year. So this specific beer is cherry sour ale, but it's been both tequila and bourbon barrel aged. Copper Kettle is based in Denver, Colorado. So yeah, a big imperial cherry sour sounds awesome. And then they use two different barrel agings. That's something you don't often see on a sour style beer, but I'm expecting this to be special. A 10-year birthday present to yourself. I'm sure they pulled out all the stops. In terms of label art, pretty colorful. It's definitely got a whole big theme of their congratulations making it to 10 kind of shtick. Looks awesome, very colorful, very big tall can, as so many of Copper Kettles are. So we're gonna get this cracked. I would normally pour this in kind of like a tulip style glass, but since it's so large, I'm just gonna use my nice all-purpose glass here, which still has kind of a natural flair to it, so it will work well for this sour. I have no doubt about that. Yes, I'm pouring this. It's got a very nice light pinkish, reddish, orangish hue. It is a cherry sour after all. It looks absolutely lovely in this glass. We're not going to get the whole thing in there. It's a big can. Very pungent aroma. I am smelling definite barrel aging and I'm smelling sour. That was a good 1.5 feet away from me. I can still smell it. It's even further away now. So looking at this visually, holding it up to my bright LED set lights, yeah, it's got a true bright pinkish, orangish, reddish hue to it. It's very, very lovely in the glass. Pretty active in terms of carbonation. That's pretty common with the sour. It did form, obviously, a little bit of head to start. It's a beer, but it's a sour. It's active. It's going to get out of the way. That's what we want on a nice sour here. And it looks really, really stunning in this glass. I got to say, that is a beautiful looking beer. Let's get right up over it for a full sniff. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. There's a lot of layers of aroma coming off of that. Okay, so this is a very, very nice smelling beer. Very pronounced, and it smells even nicer when you get right up on it. So the sour is very obvious. It's very, very clear. This is a sour beer. It smells like a sour beer. The barrel aging you can smell, and it's clear bourbon and tequila, but it's not overwhelming. It doesn't smell like the barrels are going to be oppressive and be like an overarching, driving, dominant factor. I mean, I don't know till I jump in on the flavor side of things, but at least aromatically, it smells balanced. I can smell the sour. I can smell the underlying tartness from the cherry as well. Really mixes well with that sour. The tequila, the bourbon, all of this really is coming through clearly. What I didn't expect to smell on the nose here was there's a really prominent kind of doughy bread, kind of crusty aroma. Not dissimilar to flavor profiles you get in, say, like a Gosa or a Saison. But it's a very pronounced, it's got a very doughy, very yeasty aroma mixed in tandem with these other aromas. It smells fantastic and it looks the part. So let's just jump right in and see what their 10-year anniversary gift of themselves is all about. Ooh, that's big. That's a big, flavorful beer. Okay, so there's a lot happening in this flavor profile. I gotta say, the aromas that were very balanced on the aroma are also still very balanced in terms of the flavor profiles in the glass as well. And I gotta say, I was almost half expecting the barrels to kind of override everything else, but it doesn't. This is extremely, extremely well balanced. And you can taste quite clearly everything that they did to this beer. Just as you could smell it, the same is true in the flavor profile. So the first thing I got when I swallowed, flavor profile wise, was yes, there's this nice tart, acidic, sour kick up front. It's not oppressively so, but it's enough that gives you a nice kick right up front, kind of dials back a little bit, and then the barrels kind of open up, and they have a pretty quick blossoming of intensity. And it really is equal parts bourbon and tequila. You can taste them both independently and equally, and neither of them are vying for attention, nor are they kind of shoving the other qualities of the flavor profile in the background. Because it would be so easy to do with barrel aging, especially in something that's so relatively delicate compared to other big beer styles. The sour really does kind of kick on the front, and then the barrel behind it, and then you get for a few more seconds lingering sours, and that kind of dials back out of the way. Then you're left with almost this acidic sharpness that lingers on the palate for a few seconds as you really start to taste a bit more clearly and independently those separate barrels, the bourbon and the tequila. And the cherry is in there. It's a little more subtle on the flavor profile than it comes through on the aroma, but it is definitely there, and it is still distinctly cherry. I don't know if they used a sour cherry variety or if it's just because it's naturally in the sour beer base, but I gotta say, extremely well crafted for my opinion. The balance on this, aroma and flavor wise, is absolutely fantastic. So, body and mouthfeel. This is 8%. It is an imperial, so it's higher than average, and it's definitely got a bigger presence than your average sour, but it's not a big, thick milkshake or a big imperial stout or IPA or something like that. It's still a sour is the base beer style. So I would say yes, the body is absolutely above average, well above average for a sour ale, but it's an imperial. But if you're comparing this to say like an 8% milkshake IPA or something like that, they're incomparable. It's not like that. It's a lighter beer style by nature. The same is true for the mouthfeel. Yes, there is clearly a lot more resistance to this one than your average sour ale, but again, it's an 8% imperial. If you're comparing this to, say, a milk stout, it doesn't feel even remotely in the same playing field. So it's relative to the style. What they did with this is all extremely well balanced and true to the style, just with a very unique twist that you don't see often, and it absolutely works. What a great beer. So I'm going to jump back in for a second sip. I'm going to let everything re-intensify, see if we missed anything, and then we'll talk about this finish. But I really enjoy this one. Nice, tart, sour kick right up front. There's that little bit of doughy, kind of crusty quality. That's really where the cherry, it's actually got this kind of juicy burst of sour cherry up front. And very, very quickly, that sour and tart intensity dials back, and those barrels immediately and quickly open up. Equal bourbon, tequila. And the balance on that, I'm still just blown away by the balance on this beer. The sour, the tart, the underlying kind of bread and crusty and doughy qualities from the malt bill, the cherry, the balance of the barrels. It's just so incredibly well crafted. Really, really nice. So really on second sip, it's just a re-intensification, letting my brain reset everything I experienced on the first sip. Nothing new, no surprises there. Just got to say the cherry is a bit more prevalent on second sip than I got it on the first. So let's talk finish. This is barrel aged. It is imperial. Most sours are not going to have a super long finish. This has a very long finish for a sour, and it really is owing entirely to these barrels. It is longer than even some barrel-aged stouts that I've had. It's a very big, prominent flavors. It's that bourbon and tequila. That's what's lingering. You do still also get this underlying sense of kind of the doughiness, the bready quality from the malt bill as well, but there's no lingering sour or tart or cherry. It's all kind of malt bill driven in tandem with the barrels, but it's extremely long, far above average. I gotta say, this is an incredibly unique and well-crafted beer. I think it is a great 10th anniversary present to brew for yourself. Bravo, Copper Kettle. I'm a big fan. I'm going to take my time, sip on this one, come up with my scores. When we come back, we'll get this beer ranked from top to bottom. All right, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're going to get it ranked. This was Copper Kettle Brewing Company's number 10, an imperial sour ale that was brewed with cherries and aged in tequila and bourbon barrels. So 2 different barrels on this one. Copper Kettle is based in Denver, Colorado. This one clocked in at 8% ABV. So this beer was really far better than I expected it to be. When I saw it, I said, wow, that sounds really interesting. You don't get a lot of barrel-aged sours, and cherry pairs very well in sour, but this was way better than I thought it would be. I wasn't sure exactly how the barrel aging would work, but in my opinion, it worked extremely well. So this beer, I do not need to go through the list of all 10 categories. I can tell you that this beer is another to add in that small cluster of groups of beers that did get a perfect score across the board. I mean, and really, I'm not surprised. From very first smell, I thought, wow, this is smelling really, really promising. And really for me, for this beer, it all came down to the balance. What they did with it was very inventive, very unique, pretty cool twist on the kind of the sour setup for a beer. But the execution of this was absolutely top tier. They did not miss a beat anywhere along the path in making this beer, and that is what set this apart from your typical sour. Absolutely top tier. It well earned its perfect score in all categories. So that's aroma, taste, body, mouthfeel, finish, head and retention, appearance, balance, feeling, intangible, and example of style for a total score of 100. Absolutely well earned. This was a fantastic beer. If you get a chance to try this, it's a limited release. It was the beer they brewed to celebrate their 10-year anniversary. Definitely recommend getting this. If you're a fan of sour beers and or barrel aged, this is one to keep on your radar if you can snag one. I highly recommend it. Folks, that's today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to stay in the loop when our videos go live, just turn on your notifications, hit that bell icon. It's right next to the subscribe button. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.